Let's move on to signing day. So the 2025 high school signing day is upon us. I believe it's tomorrow actually, and obviously it's got a number of guys committed right now. Let me just check the number for sure. They have 22 commits in the class so far. I would assume most of them will be signing tomorrow. Um, I don't have to see if anyone the one that's like currently listed as a commit on 247 that I don't believe will be signing tomorrow. I'm not sure. And I would be surprised if he signed with Iowa State tomorrow, which is Caprice Keith. We've talked about him before. He's currently he's committed to Iowa State and he has been since last November. Iowa State wants him to play like safety, defensive back type of thing, probably safety at his size, but he apparently wants to play wide receiver. Kansas State is offering him as a wide receiver, and he took a visit there. He's been kind of courting Kansas State fans on Twitter. Right now, I'd be pretty surprised if Caprice Keith did not flip to Kansas tomorrow, or Kansas State tomorrow. Other than that, they've got a number of guys in here that I think a lot of people really like. Maybe some early impact guys. Like Jeffrey Roberts, the receiver. We'll see how quickly he can get caught up. But, there's wide receiver targets to be had. Chase Soule and Brett Eskelson both were the number 1 and 2 most of the year, but they were not without their inconsistencies and faults. Certainly there's a spot, potentially for Jeffrey Roberts to get some snaps and maybe, even on special teams or something like that, because the kid can fly. He's got wheels for days. Jeffrey Roberts is really, really good. He's going to be really, really good. Ajibole Ofuye, a little bit undersized, but on the defensive line, I think they're probably going to play him on the edge. He's a guy that there's lots and lots of snaps to be had at that edge spot, because there are a couple of guys that like you think will be starters. Jace Gilbert and Kenny Ziogu seem like they will probably be the starters, but they are absolutely not set in stone. I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, my guess is that it'll be a full position battle for edge rushers in the spring and through the fall, unless those two really, really step up. A couple other guys, Daniel Howard as a freshman on the interior defensive line, 6'2", 270s, just a touch undersized weight wise. They like to have those guys up at least at 300. But you can put on weight in the offseason, stuff like that. So maybe he gets some playing time. There's a lot of these other positions. The great part is you don't really need a lot of these guys to step up and play right away. Now, the one there, especially the kind of the exception to this, I guess, will be Lucas Tenbrock. He's the 5th ranked punter in the class. And he will be punting from day one at Iowa State, just period. He's going to be, because he's the guy. He's the punter now. So Lucas Tenbrock will play right away, and he will play every punt. But the nice part is that for a lot of these guys, you really don't need them to step up and be there right away. If you look at the highest rated recruits in the class, Caleb Francois is a running back. You're good at running, unless, I don't see any scenario where it happens, but I guess if for some reason you lose one of Sam or Hansen, I don't see why you would. I would be shocked if that happened. But he's probably not going to play, especially if Dylan Lee doesn't transfer. If Dylan Lee does transfer, then you still have Aiden Flora there. So like, Caleb Francois is probably not going to get much playing time next year outside of maybe a few garbage time carries. Jeffrey Roberts, sorry to talk about him. Tyrell Chapman, the safety. Problem is, I would say it's pretty deep again at safety. But if injuries happen, then maybe. Keen Kaiser at linebacker. I would say it's going to be pretty deep at linebacker. He's probably not going to play much. Tatum Duncan at safety, probably not going to play a lot there. Mason Bandauer at offensive tackle. Generally speaking, they don't play freshmen on the offense. They definitely, generally speaking, Brandon Black wasn't an exception to that because he was just pretty good as a freshman. Oh yeah, River Peppers will still be here for running back. So that's another one. It's easy to forget about River Peppers because he played one snap and then blew his Achilles. But and the tricky part is the timing of that. We don't know if he'll even be ready to go for next season. He might eat a red shirt this season and a medical red shirt next season, or vice versa, or something like that, just because of his injury. So that's kind of a tough situation, but he was a player that I was very, very excited about coming out of high school. I think at some point he will be very good, but unfortunately his debut for Iowa State has been pushed back by a year or two, which isn't necessarily the worst thing if he's still kind of technically a freshman by eligibility in 2027 because of a medical red shirt and a regular red shirt. once Sama and Hansen are out the door. I if he's still basically a freshman there by eligibility, I think that's a very good situation for Iowa State where you could have Caleb Francois um and River Peppers there as essentially freshman running backs, even though River Peppers would be in his third year in the program. Uh, Marion Jackson as a receiver, again, a receiver could step up. We'll see. Josiah Zayas as a corner, I don't think he will be. I'd kind of be surprised if he got any playing time. Tight ends super deep again next year. So like guys like Arlie Morel and Drake DeBon, you're probably not going to see them. Barry Freeze is a linebacker, Bryson Williams is a safety, Case Evans is a quarterback. There's pretty much none of these guys. I mean, in every freshman class, you're going to have one or two that step up and they just are good and they just deserve playing time. But there really aren't any at any positions in this class that you think we really could use one of these guys to step up. Otherwise, we don't have, we don't have the horses to do any of this. It's one of Iowa State's, honestly, it's one of Iowa State's best recruiting classes under Matt Campbell. It's going to end up, we'll see. It's probably going to end up around somewhere in the 50s. Right now, it's sitting at 49. That might drop a touch when like Caprice Keith moves over and stuff, when he switches over to Kansas State and all that. But for the most part, it's going to be one of Matt Campbell's better classes, just ratings wise. The nice part is now, like, even if you don't have any 4 stars in this class, you do still have, the floor is pretty high on these. You look at that and like there's 2 guys at 84, but like otherwise everyone is 85 and above, which is, not necessarily been a universal thing for Iowa State. Sometimes you have a half your class sitting down there in the low 80s and some couple guys in the high 70s, and that's just sometimes it's just how it is. Those drag your class ratings down, but in the end, this is still a developmental program, so you're going to bring in people that you don't play them a lot their freshman year, but by the time they get to their sophomore and juniors, their second and third year in the program, they're veteran players that got lots of snaps. Doing all that, they're developing into that versus being, having to be instant impact guys right away, which is great. That's a sign that, that's just a sign that your program is in a really good spot and that you're no longer having to do all that. You're not having to hope that your freshmen work out right away. So we'll see there. As far as once we have all those guys in the program, so I want to talk about transfer portal here. This is a big one. Obviously it's got a couple. Fortunately, you're bringing back damn near everybody. So your quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver, you're bringing back everybody. Or pretty much everybody. You're missing, wide receivers losing a couple of people, but for the most part, you're bringing back everybody. So Fred, we whiffed a tight end recruiting. So like we did sign 2 tight ends that are both like mid to high 3 stars. But you're right in that we did miss on a few of the 4-star targets. Like we missed on Ian Pramer, who's like point like a 94 on 247, like a mid 4-star guy. Evan Jacobson and a couple other guys. You missed on your really high end tight end targets. I don't know why that is. We'll see. Notre Dame's a good tight end program. They produce good tight ends all the time. Texas A&M probably threw a boatload of money at Evan Jacobson, and maybe he didn't want to play at the same place his brother did, even though his brother played basketball. Those things can happen. It is what it is. It sucks, but they overall were still able to pull out a pretty good class here. Not too worried about it. Actually, you know what? Before I get too far, before I get into the transfer portal stuff, I do want to talk about an interesting situation, like an interesting recruiting thing that I just happened to kind of stumble upon before. I didn't catch it earlier. So Iowa State, these are kind of your offers and stuff like that. This for this class. What I saw an interesting name down here, Elijah Reeder. He's he's an 89, which is a high 3-star. You're bordering on 4-star there. He's an edge prospect, 6'4.5", 210, so he's definitely a little undersized and all this. What's interesting here? So he's actually got a crystal ball from Alec Bussey today at 11:30 a.m. What's interesting here is that that's a high 3-star guy. He should have a pretty good offer list. His offer list is us, Bryant, Monmouth, and New Haven. Bryant and Monmouth are both FCS schools. I don't even know if New Haven is even an FCS school for their, or if they are Division two. That is not a big time offer list. So what's perplexing here is he is like that's a high rating for a recruit. You know, that's not, this isn't like a point. This isn't like a 79 that could easily have just, nobody knew him, flew under the radar. And that it's just a Iowa State offered a guy because they had to, because they needed a guy at this position type of thing, which I mean, that's maybe kind of what they're doing with the pass rushers. But this guy is like a borderline 4-star recruit. And he's got a few mid to bad FCS offers. So this is fascinating to me. I have not had a chance to look up his huddle tape or anything like that yet. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that. We're going to do that together. Apparently I searched it, but I just didn't watch it. Let's just check out. So this is the same guy. Apparently he also plays wide receiver. So that's notable speed wise. Kind of tall and lanky. So the height's there with a good frame. Playing offense there too. I mean, that's something. I was gonna see if I could find some defensive highlights here. Oh, got some year highlights. Perfect. This is like doing with a drone. That's crazy. So they've just been using it as okay, because they're in green. It's not wide receiver highlights. Oh, there's a whoa. Hold on. Hold on a second. Okay. I thought they were on offense there for a second. Hold on. Okay. Okay. We may have just accidentally stumbled upon the highlight that caused Iowa State to offer him. Because if you can watch this and not see Will McDonald, I don't know, then you just didn't watch Will McDonald play. Okay. But watch this. He's lined up there on the edge. Holy shit. Okay. So he immediately, this right tackle's like, fuck, shit. Oh, I fucked it. He's right there. He doesn't know what's going on. This running back's like, oh, I got to chip this guy. He said, nope. And right around. Holy cow. Okay. Now I'm interested. Right around him. He's athletic. Didn't really need to be bendy there. Forced the fumble. That's good. Fun player off the edge, man. He's got if he can put on a little bit of weight, get some, build up his strength and, get his, because right now he's basically just rushing from a standing sprinter position, essentially. He's got the quickness and he's got the elusive, the agility to get around some of these blocks. Just right around him. I mean, he's slippery. I mean, he's obviously really raw. He's basically just an athlete right now. Good job reading that. Let's watch him. Fighting through. Nice. I mean, granted, these are highlights, obviously, but I love shout out to this. I don't know if it's their program or whatever it is, but getting game tape from essentially the Madden cam. This is kind of awesome. Actually, I really enjoy this. Like getting game tape from the Madden cam is kind of sweet. He's on offense now. And out there, let's see what he does. Good toughness, run right through him. Nice. Okay, you know what? So after that, after that play, uh, after that third play there, I am suddenly quite interested in landing this Elijah Reeder kid as a developmental prospect. Obviously, at 210 needs to put on some weight. But it's hard not to look at this kid and look at that tape, look at what's going on here. It's hard not to see Will McDonald. He moves just like Will McDonald. Exactly right. Jason's right on it. He moves just like Will McDonald. I hope they land this kid. And listen, I don't know if it's gonna work out. He's obviously a developmental prospect, but if they didn't get this kid in there and say, like, if they didn't put this kid's tape on and go, holy shit, that's Will McDonald, and then go to Elijah Reeder and say, hey, oh, he's even from, look, he's even from New Jersey. Excellent. Right there. He's well familiar with Will McDonald. If he pays attention to the Jets, he's already well familiar with what Will McDonald is. And he's one of the best pass rushers in foot. And he's been probably he's probably a top 10 to 15 pass rusher in the NFL right now. And Iowa State can be like, hey, that guy that plays football, from you, plays football like right next to you in the green and white. Yeah, your tape is just like his, and we developed Will McDonald into a first round pick. I would think Iowa State immediately saw that same play that I reacted to. I would guess Iowa State saw that same exact play and said, hell yes, we would like to offer this kid. So I am very excited for this, for Elijah Reeder. Very, very excited. Yeah. So that's a fun deal right there. So keep an eye out for him. Obviously, he's not committed yet, but they offered him today. Signing day is tomorrow, and we are far and away, without question, the best offer that he has available. So we'll see. That would be